What's up, Duke fans? Welcome to the Devil's Den Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Smith, joined by my co-host, Raul and Shu, coming at you right after, well, not right after, a little bit, like 7 hours after. Duke just beat SMU at home, 82-75. Had our guy Shu on press row, so we'll chop it up a little bit about kind of what Cameron looked like right now on, January 10th as folks are still kind of getting back in the building a little bit. Looked great on TV, so we'll dive into that. I think the biggest thing, fellas, tonight we need to start with is the 0-1 team was kind of recognized for, I think it was the 25th year anniversary. So they had them come back in. Jay Will was on the call. Battier was in the building. A lot of guys were in the building. I know for me, the 0-1 team is my favorite Duke team. I mean, Battier is my favorite Duke player of all time. I mean, it just really set off I think at the time I was probably 12, 13 years old. So it was just a pivotal time for me as a Duke fan. So I figured we would start a little bit by just acknowledging them. Obviously, you have the Miracle Minute, you have the Maryland stuff, but the Carlos Cam kind of connection here is relevant. We got a clip we'll play here in a little bit from Cam. But first, fellas, just give me your 30,000 foot in the air take here of the 0-1 team. If you can go back 25 years in time, what they mean to you, where they rank among your favorite or best Duke teams of all time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was in high school, but probably one of my favorite Duke teams, Dunleavy. That was my guy.
Yeah,
changed my number in high school to number 34 because of this guy. Just love the way those guys played. They played hard. The Miracle Minute, as you said, they just didn't give up. Jay Will, such an electrifying player to have and to watch. I think was that the year he scored like 16 straight against UCLA.
It was 17. I think it was 17. Yeah. UCLA. Yep.
Boozer goes down, gets hurt, comes back, towards the end of the year and helps us bring home. I guess that was the third banner at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cayden says like we're gonna win an effing championship like after Boozer goes down, right? And they just start pacing, spacing. I mean, they're really ahead of their time too, back in 0-1. But Raul, for you.
Yeah, for me, I think 91 and 92 will always be the most special just because it's kind of about the age you are, right? Those were like Duke's first titles, and I was like, 10 going on 11 and 11 going on 12 for those two. So it's like a really impressionable time. By the time 0-1 rolls around, I'm in college and, have my mind on a few other things. But, still just like I would count Battier among my favorite players. Like there's probably nobody in Duke history that's, been more fun to watch defensively than Battier. Malik Brown comes close sometimes, but he's not playing the full game, right? And it's like these little spurts and these bursts.
He's not hitting 8 threes on the other.
That's true, exactly. Yeah.
Like,
I still would count the second half versus Maryland extending into the Arizona game as the best defensive performance I've ever seen from an individual player from Battier. So, just incredibly, special team overall. Like you said, really fun, played super fast, got up a ton of threes, especially after Boozer went down. Jay Will was just like a blur in transition, obviously. He could take some wild Isaiah Evans-like shots, but he made a lot of them.
Yeah, when Jay Will got cooking, it was really fun to just watch too. And I think, they're my favorite team, but I think for me, it will always, like 92 is just such the whole back-to-back thing and what that means, what that signifies. You get the Duke-Kentucky game, which is like arguably, I don't even know if it's arguably, but like it's one of the top 3 greatest college games of all time. Like you go back and watch that game, it is just like the whole thing.
Neither team could stop each other at all.
Yeah, it's just peak, just playoff basketball, if you will, right? Like it's peak playoff basketball. You're in the hundreds. Right, you're right there in the hundreds, scoring back and forth. Pros all over the place. Yeah, I think 92 will always just be in their own stratosphere a little bit, but 0-1, man, is really good. I mean, you got what, 6 or 7 pros on that team.
Yeah.
You got a couple Betty won 2 NBA championships from that squad. I mean, Dunleavy is basically like one of the premier front office guys right now. Duhan had his moments in the league. He's coaching too. Jay Wills, obviously, just so much success.
And Dante Jones wasn't even. He was he's redshirting that year, right? So that's another pro.
Yeah. I mean, you have Nate James, who is just a lifer for Duke, right? Too. So, yeah, I mean, lots of guys on there. Shouts to 01. But, I know, Shu, you had kind of talked to Cam a little bit because obviously Carlos being on the 01 squad won a banner. Cameron and Cayden here tonight, asking him a little bit about that. So I guess we can get into that. We got a little clip here that we can pull up and share. Let's see if that'll work.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. It's my first time trying this out, so we'll see.
All right, Cam. Since we honored the 2001 team today with your dad, I just want to put you on the spot. Who's the best Duke team of all time?
2025, 2026.
2025, 2026. They would take your dad's team. You guys would take them.
I mean, it's still the beginning of the year, but I got our group already on. So.
Okay.
All right. So what do you guys think of that?
I mean, look, I love the confidence in him. I kind of scoffed at him for thinking that. But at this point, look, they're 15-1. Only one loss halfway through the season. It's not impossible, but there's a lot of work to be done. Whether or not they could take the 01 team, I mean, a good follow-up would have been, all right, well, if he's checking his dad, who's checking Battier? Pat, Malik, who's checking Dunleavy? Who's checking Jay Will? A lot of question marks for a team that's struggling to score, to keep teams from scoring, especially from 3-point line. I mean, what FSU, SMU, Georgia Tech, some of these other teams have done to us from the 3-point line. I can't imagine what the 01 team would do to these guys. So right now, don't see it. But again, Cam, hey, buddy, love the confidence, and I hope you're right by the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing that maybe this team has going for them is you could just get a little lucky with 3-point defense sometimes if a team's going to bomb you. For me though, man, you talked about it. The 2-point defense has cratered, and it is not good. I mean, Louisville shot 68%, no, 65% from 2. SMU today is 59%. I know they shot 50% from 3. I know that we've had some issues on the 3-point line. I'm much more worried about the 2-point defense at this point because the 3-point stuff sometimes can just fluctuate, right? Some of the shots they made were tough, and we've seen, I mean, how many times we watch a Duke player miss a wide open 3? And so that can just happen at times. And so it's really hard to track that unless you're just going to get in the weeds per play and per shot type stuff, which I'm not. I don't have time for that. The 2-point defense is where I'm at, and we haven't been able to figure that out. I think a lot of it is on Cam, unfortunately, right now. We can talk about that here in a little bit, but Raul, what are your where are you at really just kind of defensively as we get into this thing?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. In ACC play, opponents are shooting 43% from 3 against Duke. That would be the worst 3-point percentage allowed in the entire country. I think that's kind of flukish, right? That's just because before ACC play, teams were shooting 28% against Duke, which is also flukish, right? So you expect that to come up. So I think this is just some regression to the mean, right? It's going to settle in. We're going to have a few games here where we allow some open threes and the other team just doesn't make them, and Duke wins because of that. But yeah, like you pointed out, the 2-point defense falling from second or third to 30th in the span of 7 games is pretty troubling. And I'm with you. I was pretty critical of Cam in this game. He played his usual excellent offensive game, obviously hit several threes, was able to score inside, drew fouls, all that stuff. But especially in his individual matchup versus Toombs, he was just not offering any resistance really. He was technically in position on a lot of those, but I didn't think he was being physical enough with him. And Toombs was just able to just kind of do that push shot right over and over again. Now, credit to Toombs, he had a really soft touch, and what he did was really impressive. But at the same time,
there was a lot of resistance, man.
Yeah.
There wasn't.
And I don't know. To be honest, I also this is not necessarily about the defense, but just that 11-0 hole we got into. I put a lot of that on Cam, a little bit on Caleb too, but it wasn't just the defense on Toombs. He came out a little bit sloppy with the ball, turned it over twice, and then was technically had a third turnover where Cayden passed it off his hand. I don't know if you want to credit that one to him or not, but
I think it was credited. I'll have to go back and look. Maybe not.
He's got 4 turnovers for the game.
4 turnovers, 3.
Maybe that was one.
In the first 3 to 4 minutes. Yeah, not a great start. I want to go back to the defense just briefly, and we won't spend too much time tonight, folks. But to me, man, I mentioned earlier in the season that Cayden's defense was I thought his initial defensive stuff was good. It was just as soon as the action shifted elsewhere, it's he eased off, and then the possession wasn't finished.
Not playing the
Cam
whole
does
possession
that too, man. Cam had some really good defense. There was a play where the guy's driving, Cam cuts off the baseline, just bodies him, walls him up, makes him tiptoe around the baseline, and he ends up kind of coming around, and Cayden takes him. That's great defense. That's good help. You had good initial point of attack stuff, but then Cam just kind of oh, okay, the defense is over. And it's not. The guy dribbles right around, passes it back to Toombs, who has just a wide open push shot, and Cam throws his hands up, and it's yeah, dude, that was on you to rotate back down. Once Cayden picked him up baseline, that's on you, bro. And I'm not trying to pick on Cam. Has been a juggernaut for us. What he does offensively is astronomical, and it's probably not.
Well, that's the problem, right?
We got to figure that out, man, because it's not just Cam. We were holding teams in the 60s and the 50s, and I think Howard scored 42. It was a clear, this was our identity. We figured out the offense. Offensively, we're first in the conference. We're great, but the defense since the Michigan State game has just not been there. Do y'all think that it's more about teams figuring us out, or is it something that you think that we've just haven't committed to, haven't doubled down on enough, or is it a lineup thing? I don't know. Where are y'all at with how do we all of a sudden become just an offensive juggernaut, but we can't stop anything? That's a weird thing for me to happen just in the middle of a season a little bit. I don't know. What do y'all make of that?
Not even in the middle of the season, after going through this really tough non-conference slate, and winning every game in that slate, to just suddenly have it fall off randomly, starting with this Lipscomb game
and winning that way, right? Winning by your defense, really.
Yep. There are a few changes that I noticed. One thing is we're playing faster. I don't know if that's connected at all, but if you look at the last 5 or 6 games, it's or maybe even more, it's all above 70 possessions in pace, whereas there's a lot in the 60s before that. So it kind of makes me question, do we need to grind it out a little bit more? Or are we playing faster as a consequence of our bad defense, right? We're just allowing opponents easier shots, so they're getting shots more quickly, so that could be, increasing the defensive pace as well. The other thing I was thinking was with Cam specifically, is this his version of the freshman wall, right? We're not seeing it on offense, but it's just because I thought he was pretty good on defense earlier in the year. And now it's is he just worn down enough mentally where he just doesn't have the bandwidth to concentrate on both ends or something? I don't know.
Well, we've talked about in the past, especially freshman big men, it's hard for those guys to come in and play heavy minutes. And what are we playing, Cam? 36, 37, 38 minutes a night. Pretty much game to game. So, the wall could be a wall for him. I could see that. As far as what's going on with our defense, I don't know if, there's not been a lot of games where I felt like we've been super sloppy with the ball, but sometimes our turnovers result in easy baskets. I think they had 8 fast break points to our none today, which, typically that's kind of reverse. We're the ones getting those.
Which is wild because they turned it over a billion times, live ball turnovers, and we didn't capitalize on
about that. And to me, I think if we just we're talking all over the place here a little bit, folks. I think that's what the point of some of the instant reaction stuff. But I'm going to pull in John's presser. He was visibly frustrated, and for me, I like that because my overall my global leaving perspective from this game is largely positive. To me, SMU's a good team, and I hear all the defensive stuff. I hear a lot of that, but no one that I've seen has really talked about the fact of we've game planned for 3 days that we're playing against Boopie Miller as the head of attack. That's their best player. And so I recognize too that Duke has not played a lot of the best players on some of these, but when you game plan for that, and then all of a sudden the other team is like, oh yeah, this guy's not playing. Well, they knew that, right? They were prepared for that. You're not. So it opens up stuff, right? Because now all of a sudden you're trying to flip things around. I mean, I'm not trying to give them an excuse. I mean, clearly the defense across the last 4 or 5 games has just not been where you want it to be. But I think there's something there too, right? Especially the national takeaways have been Michigan's bored. They're just blowing teams up. Michigan has played shit for 4 different games this season. And that's the continual thing is they're still inciting fear against everyone else. And I know that Duke hasn't quite been at that level yet, but I think there's a bit over, we're not last year. Sure. I don't know, man. To me, it's just a little bit overblown. I think you're still winning. You're still figuring this stuff out while you're winning. The schedule, the competition is much better. I'm looking around the landscape and it's all right, well, if Michigan is flirting like that, then why is it not okay for Duke to figure things out too?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I think John said it in his presser, Boopie didn't play, but that just gave Toombs a lot more minutes. And obviously he stepped up and, I don't know if that's his career high, but what did he have tonight? 23 or something like that.
Yeah. 23 points.
He's the MVP of the game in a loss.
Yep. KenPom MVP, 8 of 10 from 2 of 2 from 3, 1 of 1 from the free throw line. Pretty much a perfect game.
7 rebounds, 1 turnover. Yeah.
173 offensive rating. It seemed like they ran a lot more through Toombs and what's the big man, the giant 7'2" guy.
Oh,
Samet.
I don't know. Whatever. I don't know.
But it seemed like they were a lot more post oriented almost than they would have been otherwise, right? With Boopie out there. So in a weird way, maybe that helped them. I just, it's a tough cover for Cam. He's a guy, this is a guy who can, step out and hit some threes. And he's also a good post scorer and has that, nice hook shot and stuff like that. But still, it's another freshman. You would like him to, hold his own a little bit better. But
yeah, especially later in the game, right? To me, we can talk about the star and we can get into that stuff if we want, but it's, you're looking at this and it's all right. We game plan for Boopie. So I don't really attribute too much to that, but it's the late second half. Once we were up 12, in the second half, it's that's where, why can't we figure that out? Why can't we put this team away at this point? You've figured it out. You've recovered from the 11-0 SMU run to start the game. And now we find ourselves in a 1-possession game with 2 minutes left. These guys have played 1, 2, 3, 4 of their guys are playing 35 minutes at that point. How are we not getting there? That has to be frustrating for John, I'm sure. I guess the elephant in the room here, y'all, is that we just spent an entire podcast raining flowers over Caleb Foster. And I feel you got to call it out a little bit to follow up that Louisville half or that Louisville game with this. Maybe he's sick. Maybe something's going on. He didn't look right. I mean, he played 15 minutes. Something was clearly off.
Well, I will step in and say this, he wasn't available for media available. He was in the locker room when we went in. His shoes were there on the floor, but he was nowhere to be found. So take that for what it's worth. I just imagine, I had to imagine that he was under the weather or something going on to come off a career high and then just kind of not really play, because he came out 2 minutes into the game and then come back in for 10 or 12 more minutes.
Yeah. They got up 11-0 and then he just went out for a while. I mean, he missed his first 2 wide open threes.
Yeah.
And then even when he came back in, he doesn't finish strong on these 2 layups. And then, even defensively, I thought this was like one of his worst defensive efforts. He was really not getting around screens, and, he had a couple guys splash threes in his face because of that. So, I think maybe that one remains to be seen whether he deserves a pass or not. Because if it turns out he was sick, then it's like, okay, you gave it an effort, right? You wanted to play clearly.
At the time, that's kind of what I attributed it to, is that he's not feeling well. They don't have
been going around like crazy. Like we've all had.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had it.
And it wasn't just Boopie either. Apparently, it's more of the team that's sick. It's just he was the only one sick enough where he wasn't able to play too. So
and they both wasn't traveling too.
Boopie wasn't even there.
They just played a road game.
Exactly.
So both we just came back from Louisville.
Yeah,
was been rampant. I mean, sure, that could totally be that makes the most sense. Because considering he only played 15 minutes, a little bit, and maybe it is more across the roster because you have Dame only playing 18. And I thought his defense in the first half was still really good.
He was really good.
Yeah, I mean, with following up from Louisville, dude, he has been everywhere, and he's finally starting to catch up to team defensive principles. I know we have a little clip from Shu here that we can kind of key up here shortly, but he talks about I thought at the beginning of the year and throughout the season, his individual defense has always been good, but now he's really his recoveries, his help defense. How many times do we see him digging down baseline to help Cam or to help a guard that want to match up? So we can talk to him in the lineup, but go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say before I play the clip, I think he's making better offensive decisions too, a little bit too. There were several times today that he pulled the ball back when I expected him to just charge to the rim. He seems to have gotten that message.
Only shooting threes.
Just taking those.
Shooting them super confidently.
Yeah, right,
He is shooting them confidently as hell. But maybe he should. I mean, he's probably up to 40-something% now.
Especially those corner ones are just money for him.
I mean, the first half he had the block that was a shot clock violation there, where he swatted it as the clock was going down. I think he had I know he had the steal where he dove on the ball. I think Malik ended up getting free throws out of that. Another one where he just kind of poked it away from a guy. I mean, there were a handful of times that he got the crazies really energized with his defense today.
Yeah. And he was I think he was on the receiving end of one of my favorite plays, which was, I think it was another turnover. Evans pushes it, spins in the lane, kicks to the corner, and then Sarr hits the 3 there. And I was thank God he hit it. You can't blow that highlight, right?
Yeah, and Evans was very demonstrative in front of the Louisville or the SMU bench there after that.
Yeah, Evans was having fun. We should talk about him at some point, but I guess I'll play that.
Let's play the Dame clip, and then I do want to talk about this one.
Dame, can I ask you about your approach to playing defense? We know that you're a menace on the defensive end. So what is it that you do to prepare yourself every game? And has it been different learning defensive concepts here in America as opposed to what you grew up playing overseas?
I feel it's not maybe different, but the game is different, the physicality is different. So just getting adjusted. I know I can be great, I can be elite, I can be a elite defender. I'm still working a lot every day on my offense, just to be able to help my teammates. So I feel it's coming. I love to work, and I feel the work always pays off. So that's what I stick to.
Perfect. Thank you.
I think the biggest thing there, man, is what you hear what the coaches are telling him, right? To me, we can talk about the defense. I mean, the defense is there, but the biggest thing from that clip or that answer is I'm working on my offense so that I can help my teammates. I have to be able to be okay enough offensively to be out here to do this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, I love hearing that, but I wish he would have really just kind of took the flowers a little bit more. But I mean,
it speaks to what I was saying, right? The fact that he is making better decisions in the last couple games has allowed him to play more. And be more impactful.
To begin with, too, right? Of hey, we love what you're doing, man, but you got to be able to you got to help us out a little bit. And if it's literally a 3-and-D, I mean, he's taken 3-and-D to almost a pinpoint precision definition, which maybe that's just where we're at now. And that's the best way to get the value out of him. I'd like to see us find him a little bit more on the cuts, but we've talked about you got to be able to catch it, read, react, and do some of that stuff. But we have also seen too, like I thought he's made like several really good reads and passes.
Yep.
Raul, you just talked about one, but even some of those that he's caught in the lane, and I think he's like wrapped it around to Pat again tonight.
There was one of those today.
And he's done that like a few times. Like that short roll stuff, like if he can start to kind of like get into short roll actions, that I'll take that too. But he's really starting to become of like, okay, he is a guy that you have to figure out a way to get him and keep him on the floor because he's a stopper at this point. Like what he did to Conwell was impressive. His first half, I mean, he's just everywhere. Yeah, I mean, him and Malik together out there is havoc. But just wanted to give Dame a little bit of flowers,
which is why it was a little bit weird that he didn't really play down the stretch there. Because he was so effective earlier, and it just does make you wonder, like, are these guys?
I think I will say fatigue or something. Yeah,
because that was just a little strange to me. I would have kept him in longer. I actually would have played I understand why Shire's not going to do this, especially with Carlos in attendance and all that. And but I would have played that Sarr, Malik, Pat lineup longer. It was like in the first half when Cam briefly sat. We went on a like nice run there and just. We were everywhere. They couldn't score at all when we had that lineup in.
John, I know you guys have mentioned it. I think John talked about it in the press conference, right? Like we need to get Pat and Cayden together a lot more.
Well, he was saying that Cayden and Pat haven't played a whole lot together, and that we got to figure that out, especially in a game where Caleb's maybe sick or just.
I think those two have good chemistry, honestly. Because Pat's such a good screen setter and roll guy, and Cayden's a good like pick and roll, operator. So. And I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I actually thought Cayden is another guy we should probably touch on. Like I thought he had a great game.
Highest plus minus.
Highest plus minus on the floor. I thought he was incredible for like the first half, and then I thought
on both ends, honestly.
And then the second half, I know he hit some threes in the second half, so like that was great too. But in the first half, I thought he really was able to help steady us. He was able to get us good looks. I thought his ability to kind of get into the lane and like finish in the lane, like to be able to get shots off, finding shooters. I mean, he found Nik in the corner. Nik's another guy that I thought had some really good first half minutes for us. Was good to see him. But yeah, man, Cayden, I think we're going to this is what it's going to look like a little bit, right? Like he's just a freshman. So John's talked about like, hey, we're riding waves. Like we're up and down and up and down. That might be where we're at. I mean, John talked a lot about like we don't really have 5 starters. We're really trying to figure out lineups, who complements who, where, and when, and like how we want to get into. We start the first half different than we start the second half in terms of like lineups. And so I think he's got his hands full a little bit. Like he's just in the lab trying to figure stuff out. And I know I'm bouncing around from what you said us here, but one thing that I do take away when I listen to John talk. It's every response is about where we want to go, where we want to get to, which is a little bit of a different like indoctrination for me, who has grown up under the K regiment, which was like every game is the Super Bowl. Like every game is the World Series Game 7. This is it. We're playing Lipscomb at home. I'm ride or dying. And my emotional fandom was like that too. Like it was like everything was just apex. And with John, I'm starting to have to kind of shift back into, which is kind of nice, but shift back into more of like a long game. Like this dude is just playing, man. Like he's like playing Cayden early, starting him early. And it's all about where do we want to go? What happens when we get to Indianapolis? Can we win a banner? Can we get to that like max version of ourselves? And so I'm kind of inclined to just sit back and trust it a little bit. Maybe I'll get burned. It's only been 4 years. Maybe I'll get burned by doing that. But that's kind of where I'm at a little bit, fellas. Like where are y'all at kind of like with how you're viewing the team and how you're ride or dying on each of these games?
I mean, I think that's why this was actually an encouraging game for me. And I think you might agree with me here. There were like several guys here that had really good performances that have been really up and down and have been sort of questionable. Like this was Khamenia's best game since Michigan State.
Yes.
I thought he was tremendous in the first half. Really, if you take away a couple sloppy turnovers on bad passes, he basically plays a perfect game. He was great defensively. Made some really nice
in like 16 minutes or whatever. Like, yeah.
Isaiah Evans has consistently gotten going. Third straight 20-point game. He'd never had a 20-point game, I believe, before this, right? Or maybe he had one last year or something like that. But at any rate, 3 in a row. And has a 134 offensive rating. We already mentioned Cayden, who in our previous game was basically a non-factor against Louisville. Then he comes out and has his best game in a while. So to see all 3 of those guys get kind of going, I thought is a positive sign, even if you're like, okay, what's going on with Caleb or what's going on with the defense? If you look at like Duke being able to add meaningful depth, I think this is a good game.
Yeah.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I think one of the, I don't know if I'd call it a criticism, but with K, like we got to win every game now. It's not playing for the future. If it takes just playing 6 guys to win this game, that's what I'm doing. Whereas, other coaches might sacrifice a loss here or there, but for the greater good of the long run, like we're going to get this guy some minutes because we're going to need him come March, come April. I think that's what Josh is hitting at, like what John's doing, playing the long game there. Now, of course, we still want to win every game. But again, the flip side, like last year, we're beating the crap out of teams. Well, then it comes tournament time and we don't know how to close the game out. So this year, we're having some of these close games. This is hopefully going to pay off for us in the long run, with also getting all the guys up to speed, getting the minutes and the reps that we need for this team to ultimately reach their pinnacle.
Yeah, you just want to figure out a way for, everybody to play well at once, right? That's not going to happen most games, but that's your goal at the end of the season. I wanted to correct one thing. Isaiah had a 23-point game against Texas in the first game of the year.
I was going to say, yeah.
He had none as a freshman, though.
None as a freshman, yeah.
A couple like 19s last year.
Yeah, a couple high ones.
16,
But like he's had 3 straight, and I think that is a good trend. Like we haven't talked about Slim yet. I thought Slim was phenomenal tonight. I thought he's been really good the last 4, and that tracks. I mean, you looking at it, he's clearly stepping up. We're running stuff more for him. He's getting more comfortable doing stuff with the ball. I mean, the 3-point shot is there, but like we're really, he's starting to get to the line, fellas. Like he's starting to actually make that a part of his game. I
want to say he's averaging like 22 points in conference play. Like
he's also only missed 1 conference. He's 25 of 26 from the line in conference.
Shooting the 3 ball a lot better in conference than he did in non-conference. So
yeah, he's coming around, man. He's coming on.
He just looks more like I guess joyful and confident. You know what I mean? Like when you think about that Texas Tech game, it's just like he didn't really look very engaged, or like, it's not that kind of like cocky, kind of a little bit wild Isaiah Evans you're used to seeing. Like I'll live with, he took maybe 2 bad shots in this game, I would say.
But you need him, you need him empowered to because one of those bad shots early then leads to that same little like pump fake, come in, spin around, step back 3 that he made, which was like, oh my God.
Yeah, he made that I looked at
that and to just
is that the one? It's like kind of early in the second half that put Duke on 12. Yeah.
And then he comes down. I think it was his first, and then he hits another one right after it. Was that the second one or the first? I'll have to look.
The spin was, I want to say the spin was the first one, because I remember Freddie Hodges was sitting to my left, and I looked at him and was like, that was
dude, that like, and so you need to have that guy empowered and like involved, right? Like if that's a microwave type of guy, like that is a dude that honestly, if you really unleash him, like he's a guy that could he could be the leading scorer on this team if we wanted that. Now maybe that's not where the ceiling for this team is. I hear that. Like I'm not advocating for that specifically, but for him to like clearly be a consistent dude that can give you 20, we need that, especially because I mean, even
long way from the game that he only shot 4 shots, right? Like that's what we want.
Yeah. Right. And Caleb has shown that he can be that guy, but he's also shown a little bit of like kind of roller coaster passiveness there. Evans has shown more of a I think he can consistently be this kind of guy. I mean, he's going to have a game where he's like, 4 of 15 or whatever, like, and it just sucks. But I think across the season, there's really no reason he shouldn't be the second leading scorer for this.
Also, how many games is he going to win for us on that left side flare screen there?
Yeah,
Once again,
Cam Slim inverted pick and roll dude is just money.
Yeah,
at this
Cam
point.
at the top of the key. It's like it's worked basically every time, right?
Yeah,
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it really has. Another dagger tonight with it too. Yeah, man, Slim is starting to pop. So that's good. You love to see that kind of tracking here a little bit. We've talked about Khamenia. I mean, we've talked about Cayden. I think the other guy for me, who I thought was just absolutely incredible, was Big Pat. I mean, he lost the starting spot tonight, and then he comes in and just he's got the hook shot in the bag, but like the dunks were ferocious. Like he was playing with the purpose there a little bit. Finishing everything, like had some nice just up and under finishes, some right hand stuff off the glass. I mean, 5 of 6 from the line, 2. Yeah, man, I thought Pat was awesome. I thought Pat was great.
Career high for him tonight. So
yeah, 17. Yeah, what do you have? 17, 5. Yeah, 17 and 5. Yeah. So
yeah, I liked how he battled with their enormous big man. Really held his own. He got scored on a couple times, sure, but he was really physical with him, and he went right back at him on offense as well.
We defended him great. Really, I thought we did. I mean, the one thing, there's a lot of defensive stuff that we can talk about, but I thought we defended him really good. Like a lot of times you would see Cayden dart down, like he would wait for the guy to turn and Cayden would dart down, or we would like flash a double and then go single coverage. And if he was willing to just like be out of the paint or falling away from the paint score, we would single it. If he turned to the rim, we were trapping and doubling. Yeah, man. Because what did he have? He had 5 turnovers. Yeah. So like it was working.
Yeah, like 6 points or something, I think.
6 points, 5 turnovers. He's 7'2", and so that worked. And I know the Boopie thing. I wash a little bit of that away because we game plan for that, and so you think that's going to be there, and that changes some of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to walk away and feel too bad. Yeah. I know the defense is you got questions there, sure, but we're in a space now where it's really easy to forget 3 years ago, where all of these lessons that we were learning were in blowout losses. It's nice to learn some lessons and wins. And I think that's something that we should probably, like when John, I'm going to say when, not if, but when John comes on this summer again for his 4th time, that's something that I really want to talk about is like, how do you coach lessons through winning? Like, how can you continue to learn and build through winning? Because it does create laziness. It does create softness. But so far, he's been able to do that. And, I just think the chatter has not really been reflective of like a 15-1 start. When if I told you in June this team was 15-1, you'd probably put your mortgage on Duke. It just feels a little, I know guys have been out, but it still just feels a little bit too, I don't know, trauma focused from last year, if you will. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of just the trend of the points we're giving up, right? It's like that's really the only thing. And it's not like, Duke's played some murderer's row over this, time period. But they play some good teams. SMU, I would say, even without Boopie, is probably a pretty solid team overall. Louisville, even without Brown, I thought that they played really well. I mean, obviously Texas Tech, that was a tough one that we should have won, but these are all like, nationally ranked teams at the time we played them. So, and they're not, even if you are missing a guy, if you're ranked, it's probably not because you have only one good player, right? And you probably have good coaching and institutional knowledge and togetherness and all that. So it's not going to be easy just because one guy's out to just like, take down a ranked team.
Yeah. And I mean, we're at 17 against Texas Tech. I mean, this should be a 16-0 Duke team now that we're really talking about. And like I said, Michigan just lost what they gave up 91 at home to a 10-5 or 11-5 Wisconsin team. And so it's like if Duke did that if that would have been our one loss, it would have been, oh my God, where are we at? And it's not like this is the first time. Michigan barely scraped by Penn State. I mean, Wake could have beat them, TCU, and whatever.
Same thing with UConn the
there.
other night, I believe, as well, right?
Yeah.
UConn, I think had to go to overtime or something like that. Gave up a ton of points. So.
Houston has looked super vulnerable at times. And I get it. Like Duke has scraped by some, but Florida just beat the brakes off of Tennessee today. Like just beat the brakes off of them.
Two teams Duke has beaten.
I think Texas is up on Alabama right now. Maybe we'll have to check and see. Wake, Carolina just almost lost to Wake at home. Like they won by 3. Like I don't know, man. I think there's a little bit of like, wait a minute, we got to pan out here too. I think Duke is still just right there in the hunt, and you got to figure some things out. Yeah. But I don't know. I still like our chances. I still like where we're at. We got to go take a West Coast road trip coming up, and we'll see what that looks like. That's been pretty not favorable for most folks, but I still think you take it.
Well, especially if anybody's under the weather too, and you're traveling 3 hours or whatever, 6-hour flight, I guess, and then you're 3-hour time difference. You're playing it, for you, it's going to be it's going to feel for them like 11 p.m. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, sorry, Shu.
Well, I was just going to say to kind of follow up like what Josh is saying, this team could be 16-0, and I scoffed at Cameron for saying that, this Duke team was the greatest of all time. Couple different possessions or free throws that we could be talking about it like that. And the other thing is, I get Cam's confidence. He was a national player of the year, high school 2 times, won 4 state championships, 3 Peach Jams. Like all the kid's done his whole life's win, him and Cayden Boozer. So, I think we're right there in the conversation for national title contenders, even though we haven't really been talked that way here the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's stuff to figure out. There is. But again, I'm just inclined to think that John's playing a long game, and we saw it. We just saw it last year too, right? We saw it last year where the defense was so far ahead of the offense, and we just couldn't figure it out, and it took a little bit. The schedule last year was much different. The competition was much different. Again, that team last year beat some really good teams too. Like they don't get it twisted. Like they were there. But we're not going to look the same. What Kaman was able to do for us and cover up and like Coop's athleticism, you just don't have that right now. So it's going to have to be different. It's going to have to look different. I think you're going to have to eventually evolve into a place where Cam is more trusted defensively. He's too vocal and I don't know if you're going to have to modify that a little bit, or if you have to get Cam at the 5 more, or if you have to have somebody out there like the Cam Pat stuff is maybe you have to figure that out differently. But again, they had that earlier in the year too. And so it's just figuring it out. How do you get your best offensive and defensive lineups out there? And I think that's a challenge right now. Like your best defensive lineup is just way not at the level that you want it to be offensively. Your best offensive lineup is just bleeding points. And so John's having to kind of figure this out. What's this going to look like? How do I tinker?
And that's why Cam really just needs to be better, because I was going to say this earlier. He's going to play 35 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So if you have him playing poorly on defense, that just caps your defense, right? So he's got to improve basically.
Yeah, he's playing 92, almost 93% of the minutes in conference. Yeah. That's a lot of minutes, dude. That's a lot of heavy minutes. Hopefully, if we got anything from today, it's can we stagger him and Pat a little bit? Can you get what do the minutes look like with Cam off the floor? How do you really figure that out and find that? Because him getting a break, I would imagine would absolutely help his defense, because he wasn't this bad earlier in the year, right? Like it's something that's kind of he's getting wore down, he's getting grinded out a little bit. He's asked to do so much offensively. And
that's why I would have sat him longer, honestly. Since that other lineup was working, I just would have sat him for 5 minutes or something, seeing what happens. I don't know. Yeah. Because at that point we had the lead and it was only growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Duke being a contender, I think the other tough thing is you've got 10 teams right now who legitimately have a case for a 1 seed. So you could have a team that 2 or 3 years ago would have gotten a 1 seed that's going to get a 3 seed this year. So that's the tough part, right? Like it's not just, is Duke good enough to win a title? Yes, but the field just keeps getting tougher and tougher. We thought it was bad last year. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, I think too. Like a part, we don't want to get too long. I know we're about to wrap here, but like the metrics, I don't think have caught up to like the advancement in analytics in the college, the influx of youth and coaching in college, and how much they're cripping from the NBA, the portal, the NIL, all of that. Like the top end has just really suffocated the mid-major level to where I think now the top 10 teams always are just going to be at a threshold, whereas like
plus 30.
Yeah, like before it would have been like, oh, the 9th best team would have been the best team in 2017 or 2016, and now they're the 12th best team. And I think you're just going to start to see that. Like, I think that's going to be there. Roster building, the ability to cater and critique your roster is at like an all-time high for coaches. And so I think that's the positive of the portal. Like if you're a coach, you hate all the other stuff, but the ability to like, ooh, I need a center. Let me go get the best available kind of like shop. Like you can do that now.
The product is better, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is, man.
Like that game today, that game was fun to watch. I don't know what you guys thought.
I thought it was too, man. Like I think the product is definitely increasing. And so that's there. But Duke just has to, I mean, if this Duke team continues to chug along and the ACC is much better than it has been, you win this conference, it's going to be very hard for them. I know the analytics is, but Illinois isn't getting a 1 seed over Duke being the 3rd best team in the Big Ten or whatever, right? Like that's just not happening. I don't think they would have to
Gonzaga for that matter, or like,
right. Like they would have to really do something. I think Duke still has a very good shot. And even if we're the 2 in the East, like give me Connecticut as my 1 if that's what you want to do. I don't care if I'm down for that. Like let me get them boys. I think it'll work out, but
because Duke and Connecticut are basically a wash in the metrics right now. You like your chances. It would be a 50-50 game according to KenPom. So you would love that.
Why not? Yeah. And if you want to give us the 1, and then I'll take that too. If you just want to, y'all battle it out in the East, that's fine. But it's there. It's still available. You had that Texas Tech game. That's what hurts, is it was so winnable for you. You're up 17. You have that, and you're almost like you have to play your way out of the 1 seed at that point if you win that game. But this is where we're at, and I think there's still room for optimism. Now, obviously, we're about to go on the road here and play 2 big ones out in the West Coast, but I think we'll save some chatter on that. I mean, Cal, Stanford, it hasn't been good for teams going out there to do that. Duke's going to go play both. Predicted to basically win by 10 in both. We'll see. I think this really sets up for slippage if you're not careful. It's a big trip, but I know we're going to come back here probably this weekend or later this weekend. We'll do a little recruiting stuff. We'll try to get John Watson in here. We got some more stuff we'll talk about. But fellas, just real quick before we wrap up, anything that you want to put out there as Duke goes west?
You guys looking forward to, staying up till 2 a.m. to watch? I hope it's a win if that happens.
Yeah, I really do. I am looking forward to just kind of seeing the vibe of like the student arenas, the core. And I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a at Cal game or at Stanford game. And when Duke gets there, it's going to be much different than the game that I watched them play. So I am looking forward to seeing like what we walk into, kind of how they greet
Duke coming Tuesday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Saturday?
Wednesday, Saturday.
Wednesday, Saturday. Okay.
Wednesday, Saturday. Yeah, Wednesday, so, I think 11 p.m. tip. Saturday is maybe also 6 p.m. tip Saturday. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's good that like at least Duke played early today and it's not a Tuesday game. So you're not trying to get out to California after playing like late on a Saturday and then having to play on Tuesday. So having that extra day, I think, will be helpful.
Yeah. You get a little bit more time. And it's a late tip Wednesday too, right? So that's there. But
any chance John Shire takes off after one of the referees out there?
We'll see.
I mean, apparently you just get reprimanded. Nothing happens to you for doing that. So it's a little.
Not when you put the Duke blue on, apparently.
Yeah.
The standards.
He was a little upset a few times in this game.
Yeah, he was. No, he was upset.
He was heated.
Yeah.
By Shire standards, right?
Yeah. There was some stuff early that were just
Yeah. There was one thing that should have been a foul or something, or it was called an offensive foul, I think.
They called an offensive foul on Khamenia on a fast break, which was, and then
when he got wrapped up, that was crazy.
Went up at the rim, got clobbered, and they called it out on him, and it's like,
and
okay,
then
bro.
2 seconds later, same ref called a terrible charge on Cam.
Oh, that was
like a flop right in front of me.
Yeah, that was awful. So that's there. But for us, we'll come back probably before this game a little bit. Like I said, we want to talk a little recruiting. We want to get into that dynamic a little bit more. We'll have John come in and kind of do more of a wraparound on that. But in the meantime, we appreciate you all. Please rate, review, subscribe. You can email us, TheDevilsDenPod@gmail.com. You can find us on X/Twitter @DevilsDenPod247. And keep the faces strong in the river. Go Duke.